Oh, okay, there it is. It was a setting on my end. All right, now it should be working. Okay, there we go. Now it's working. Now it's working properly. Um, okay, good job, Twitch. Thanks for messing up my stream. Sorry, I was updating my stream and I was just trying to update the title, and now I have to do a bunch of updates. Okay, why can't I update my stream? Twitch? What is wrong here? Okay. Great. All right. Hopefully that worked properly. Okay. Is my camera? Nope, not working. Stream's going great today. Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go. All right. Finally got it all working. All right. I'm not working on this painting today. I'm so tired of working on this painting. It's not even done. I don't care. I will get back to it at some point. I'm not working on this right now. So let's work on this one today. All right. Let me move my stream to the right place so I can actually see it and keep track of everything. There we go. So when I stream, I have music playing in the background, mostly, just for myself. And there's this song from the Deftones, My Own Summer, and its opening is a very distinct, like quick little guitar and drum set. Um, and I have seen it used so many times online for when like someone hurts themselves and then they transition into the music as a joke thing. That now when I hear it, I just smile because it makes me think of that. Hey Des, welcome. Good to see you. How you doing? I was trying to be way more prepared today, but that did not work out. I'm working on a video. It'll be done tomorrow. Thought it was going to be done today, but no. But it'll be done tomorrow. So new video coming out tomorrow, unless everything goes completely wrong. But assuming that's not the case, new video tomorrow. All right. And I should have, um, at some point, I should have some new overlays and transitions for my live streams, just for the fun of it, because I'm learning how to do motion graphics stuff, and I might as well, you know, if I have to practice and make samples, might as well. So that will be coming soon as well. All right. This one feels like it's just going to take an eternity because of you know, all the details, but we'll see if I can, what can be done about that. because I don't want to take an eternity with this one. Hey, good guy chatter. Just passing through saying hi. Hi, how you doing? Enjoy your, I guess drive through or walk by. I want to say drive by because that implies something else. So, you know, not that, but the rest of it. How are you doing today? Hmm. That shadow is a little too harsh. I might have to figure something out for that. Like a backing board to push everything a little more forward or something. I don't know. We'll see. Because like in theory, this can sit further up, but it's not going to stay further up on its own. It needs this what's it called? This panel's way too thin for that. Trying to learn oils. I've done a ton of digital art. Oil is tough. Uh, okay. That's great that you're trying to learn oils. Um, I've the good news is you probably won't feel like this forever, and at some point, oils will probably feel easier than digital if you stick with it. The My experience with oils so far, and with everyone that I've um, interacted with that hasn't gone through like the school system, right? Like learning on their own. When you start getting into oils, there's an initial like steep uphill to learn it, but it's not a very, it's very steep, or it feels very steep, but it's not very long. And so once you get over that little hump, it flattens out very quickly, um, and becomes very easy. Or not very easy, but the paint itself stops being the issue, right? Like it goes from the paint being the issue to your artistic ability, right? So the medium very quickly just kind of falls away and stops being an issue, unless you're trying to do something that really, really goes against how the medium wants to act, right? Like if you try to paint something that looks like a watercolor with oil, you're going to make your life very hard. If you're trying to, that kind of thing. But if you're not fighting it, yeah, it just goes away very easily and becomes all about your painting ability more. Um, Good guy chatter says, I can feel what they can do now. I'm just trying to control it. Yeah, yeah. That's great news. Oh yeah, the paint is totally the issue. Yeah, well, it won't be forever. And it's a, like I said, that learning curve is steep in the beginning, but it falls away real fast. Um, I don't know if these are issues that you are running into, or these are issues that you know, or things you're doing, but some of the biggest pitfalls that I'm aware of, for that I did and I'm aware of with other people, is um, let's see, not using the right type of brushes, like using watercolor brushes or very soft brushes, not getting firm brushes, um, using cheap canvases, very rough canvases. Um, that's also a big problem. And this is something that happens because of those two things, using too much medium, because what happens is you can't push the paint around, and it doesn't, and when you do push the paint around, it gets absorbed so fast it feels like you put on a tiny dab and that's it. You can't put down paint. So you end up putting a ton of medium to try and compensate. And so then it's all very liquidy, and it runs and it absorbs weird and it acts weird and has no coverage. That's also a common one. Um, Using cheap paints. Now, I get it. Paints are expensive. But if you use very cheap paints and you don't know what you're doing, you can run into some issues because the paints could behave in ways that aren't necessarily typical. For instance, having horrible coverage is one. Being super dry is another one. Like being very, very stiff. And so you need you need to add so much medium again, and you're back to the same problem. Or not having any body to them at all, so they come out completely like liquid, and then you can't get any of the shape that you need from them. Yeah. Good guy Cheddar says, trying to keep edges and mixing colors correctly on the palette seem tough right now. And also, oh, good to know, I avoided the coverage problem. I got some decent paints. That's good. And I'm not afraid to use it. Excellent. Edges, that's tough. Try not to mix. I would say try not to mix on the painting surface. Try as much as you can not to mix on the painting. When I first started out, I couldn't mix paint very well on the fly. So what I would do is I would decide on an area that I was going to work on, pre-mix my main colors for that area, color match everything slowly, and then lay in that area. Then I would be like, okay, well now I'm going to move to another area, so pre-mix my paint for that area, and so on. Now, I don't do that. I mix basically everything on the fly, and it's a mess, but I'm very comfortable doing that now. But in the beginning, I wasn't. So I would pre-mix a little section, not the whole painting, little section, work on it, pre-mix another section, work on it, and continue to do that. And then, yeah, I think those are the things. Also, I like flats. I find it's harder to get soft edges with flats. You have to be more, you have to do it more intentionally, but I find them easier to navigate than using filberts or round brushes. Maybe that's helpful for you, maybe not, but that's helpful for me. That was helpful for me at least. Oh yeah, Des says I did digital for a few years and switched to oils last year. I love it. Yeah. Good guy chatter says, oh, I'm not the only one. And I feel like flats and brights react more how I expect. Yeah. And I used to be all digital too for a long time. Years ago, I was mostly, well, not all digital, but mostly digital. So yeah. Des says, I had just met Liad and he gave me fantastic advice and cheered me through the scary starting point. Ah, I'm glad. I'm glad it helped, Des. It'd be hilarious if she came back with like, I said you cheered me on. I didn't say you were helpful. I don't think she's going to say that, but I just always go to some of the meanest responses sometimes. But no, yeah, you'll get it. It's oil paint is one of the most forgiving mediums. Um, aside from probably digital, which is because you can always undo on digital, right? Like there's an endless ability to correct, but otherwise, it's really one of the easiest mediums and most forgiving. So just give it a little bit of time, you'll get there. Ah, damn it. Some of this paint dried on me. You know what it is? I think I switched the white I was using to a different white, and I think this white dries much faster. Good guy, cheddar seams. Filberts seem tricky to me. Uh, like they're a bit of a judgment to foresee where the brush tip is going to touch. I get that. Yeah, it does says filberts are great for blending. They're great for blending. They're great for soft edges. Um, they're also really good for, um, because of their shape, like they're good for putting down a flat line, or a flat mark that has feathered edges, by design kind of. But yeah, they're tricky. They can be tricky. I find them a little less comfortable to use. And then some people also like the fact that you can get. So if you're painting, if this is if this were a brush, when you go to paint, you can go down this way or you can go this way. Now with flats, when you go this way, you kind of get the whole flat of the brush. But when you're using a filbert, you're only getting the tip of the flat of the brush. So you can kind of get thinner lines with it sometimes. Or some people find that aspect of it a little easier to use, like the tip of it to do thin edges versus like flats when they do thin edges. Uh, yeah. Um, let's see. Oh, Des also added that soft blending if you want smooth skin tones and stuff. Yeah, that's true. That explains why I seem to have edge beads on my stroke from using flat beads of paint, that is. Um, yeah, if you're getting like also you might be pushing too hard. If you're getting like the paint squeezing out to the sides. I mean, too hard if you don't want that. If you want it, by all means go for it. It's kind of like, you know, you choose, but what you want. But if you don't want that, then yeah, you might be pressing too hard for that. Um, oh yeah, you can also join the Discord if you want to share stuff there too. Um, and ask questions if you run into problems. It's also a great place. Um, oh shoot, I was going to say something and my um totally forgot what it was. Ah, darn it. Oh, something to know is when you are painting wet into wet, um, how you hold the brush can often depend or determine how the paint goes down. So if you hold the brush like this, um, perpendicular to the painting, it will often scrape the paint off if it's wet paint. But if you want to put wet into wet, you go parallel, load up the brush with a lot of paint, go parallel and gently put it down. You could put wet paint on top of wet paint without, disturbing the other layer. Oh, I remember what I was going to say, because Des brought up smooth skin tones. There's an interesting paradox in oil painting, um, which is often if you want a smoother surface, if you want the thing in your painting to appear to have a smoother surface, often using a textured canvas is better than a smooth canvas. because what happens is when you use a very smooth canvas, especially if it's not very absorbent, which smooth canvases tend to not be absorbent, and by canvas I mean paper or board, anything, you see the brush marks more. Whereas if you want very smooth, subjects, then when you use a textured canvas, it's usually more absorbent, and the texture also evens out the brush marks, so you don't see as much of the brush marks, so you can make it softer looking. So it's an interesting paradox. Don't get me wrong, you can make a smooth surface very smooth, inside the painting as well. It's just a little more work, and it doesn't naturally lend itself to that. Yeah. It's a very strange, you know, um, like I said, paradox, because I've painted on like extremely smooth surfaces, like plastic, that is very, very smooth, and it just goes down, and you see every brush mark. It doesn't absorb at all, so the paint doesn't sink at all, and it just looks glossy and textured. And if I was going to do a very, you know, soft painting of a very soft subject matter where wouldn't want any what's it called, any brush marks, that would have been a nightmare to like feather out everywhere. Yeah. All right. So the tooth of the surface kind of dithers out the brush strokes. Actually, if we're gonna talk digital, it actually acts as noise. So you know how when you get banding, um, when you do a gradient and you get banding, it acts as noise to help, which I think is what the dither does. Um, I think that's the same thing. I don't remember, but I remember the noise one specifically. So yeah, it's that kind of thing. That's the essentially how it functions. That says you've been doing plein air. You aren't a beginner for sure. Oh, you've been doing plein air? Ooh. Um, I have great advice for plein air. Find someone much better than me at plein air and go ask them. Because I'm not very good at plein air painting. It's really, yeah, really not my thing. Good guy Chad says, haha, I have the eye for what I want, but I don't understand the medium. So this info is perfect. Oh, good. I'm glad I could help you. If you are, I don't know where you're located, and you don't have to share, but depending on where you're located, there are, plein air painting groups. The one I'm thinking of specifically has a lot of people who work digitally in their day job, which is the Weekend Warrior Painters in LA. However, um, if you're not in LA, there are some chapters elsewhere, but the people in LA specifically work uh, in the entertainment industry a lot. Not all of them, but a lot of them do. A lot of them work digitally. So that would be a good group for you. Um, Good guy. Cheddar says, I painted in gouache in school, which is definitely a leg up on starting out. Oh, for sure. Gouache is great. I love gouache. But I have issues with gouache though that I don't have with oils. Of course, oils has its own issues. Yeah, yeah. I don't have a ton of gouache paintings, and this one, I show this one even though it's not finished because it's probably my best gouache painting, even though it's not a finished painting, like I said. But yeah. Um, but yeah, I do have some issues. It's close to finished, to be fair. It's not finished, but close. But yeah. Um, but yeah. So I like gouache, but I do have some issues. I do have some, some issues with it. That is awesome. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. But yeah, gouache is great. I wish it was the perfect medium, but so close, not quite there. But yeah, I used to go plein air painting with the Weekend Warrior painters when I lived in LA. And in the beginning, I was painting in gouache all the time. And then at some point, I was like, man, because I was working and I barely had time to paint. And the only time I would really paint is when I would go out with the Weekend Warrior painters. I was like, I should probably just um, paint in oils when I go out with them because that is the only painting I'm getting done, and I really want to paint in oils more than I want to paint in gouache. So so I stopped painting in gouache and moved over to oils of even when plein air painting, which is a pain in the ass. You work in the area at times, you should reach out. Yeah, they have a website and they have a website and they have I think they also offer classes and stuff too, but they also I think have like a Facebook group or something. Um, you know. So yeah, you can join and see where they're going to be on the weekend and, go hang out and paint. A lot of them use gouache. Gouache is very popular amongst them and watercolor as well. Um, but yeah, some really great artists out there. Thanks for all the info. I got to bounce. Talk to you later. No problem. Have a good one. I think you stayed way longer than you were planning to anyways. So yeah, have a great night and see you around. Hey, Cheer 100. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I will warn you, I do not have any notifications set up. So if you followed me and I didn't say anything, I apologize. It I'm streaming on Twitch and YouTube, and it's just too many screens. But thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'm really glad it put it in chat because otherwise I literally would not have seen it. You guys says, haha, I appreciate the tips. Well worth the sub and bits. Thank you so much. Have a nice day, folks. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Des, thank you. He's been following since 2019 and has subbed for 4 months. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Like I said, I'm not really on top of that stuff. I suck at it. It's just two chats, the thing. Yeah, just too much. Yeah. He has my first badge, which is your first 10 subs ever. Oh, really? That's awesome. Thank you so much. Like I said, I'm not good at this stuff. So yeah, I need to be. Maybe, now that I've been doing all this, I've been doing some of this other stuff. Maybe I should up my Twitch game a little bit. Um, as far as like badges and all that stuff. It's just so much to do all the time. But yeah, that's awesome. That's really awesome. If I were to start working, Des, I'll ask you and anyone else who's in chat who wants to pipe in, they're more than welcome to. If I were to work on stream related things like badges, notifications, emotes, whatever it is, anything like that. What would you say is the first two things I should work on? Um, Des says, I don't think you need all the pop-ups and sound alerts and stuff. We aren't children, haha. Uh, I do agree with that. I think that yeah, I do agree with that. I'm not saying I get why people like that stuff. However, I don't feel like it's, necessary for the crowd I'm going for. I will say this though, to be fair, you say we're not children. I do sometimes definitely have the sense of humor of a child, but I I do I do recognize that like it just kind of depends on time and place. Gamers use them, but it's chaotic sometimes, and if you get confused between two streams and chats, then it's just too much at times. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It can be it is tough to have all these different windows all open at the same time and also monitor like the health of my stream at the same time and all of that. That says what could be helpful is just a simple alert through stream elements or something when people follow or donate or sub. Yeah, I agree. That sounds fairly right. Maybe an emote, um, like another emote. Um, I know emotes aren't like the only reason I'm thinking about that is because at least then there's something that they get in return for the sub. Um, and if they use it in other chats, um, you know, it could be something that like maybe brings in other, people from other chats as well, in theory. I do have an idea for an emote actually. Just because I hadn't been thinking about it, honestly. It wasn't like on my list, but now that I am thinking about it, I kind of have an idea. And yeah, I think emotes wouldn't be too hard to whip up. I agree. It's so frustrating. I'm like on YouTube, I'm just I really would I would like to get to um there's like two steps. There's one where you can start accepting like super it's not like super chats. It's like maybe it is super chats and subscribers or followers or whatever. So you can start like making money a little bit supposedly. And then there's like where you can get ad revenue, which is the second stage. And I'm close to the amount of subscribers I need for both of those. It's the watch hours that I have an issue with. And I don't know how to get my watch hours up, so that I can actually, I mean, who knows how much money I could make off of that? Probably nothing is my expectation, but anything can help. But geez, just getting those watch hours is a pain. Des says the only thing about emotes is that they are tiny and it's hard to make them legible. Yes, it is. I also need to look into how to make them animated because I the one I made is not animated, and I think I'd want to make an animated one, probably. Not all of them will be animated, but I think I want to make one that is. And I could tell you one of the emotes that I was thinking of, but I'm pretty sure if I gave you two guesses, you would guess one of them all, within two guesses, you'd guess one. Let's see. Des says you might not get an animated slot right away. It depends on how many followers and subs, but maybe they've changed the rules. Yeah, I don't, it's true. I don't know. I haven't looked. And Des says Dresden. Yes, Dresden. Of course, Dresden. Of course. Definitely have to make an emote for Dresden. See, I knew I wouldn't have to give you many guesses. I'm honestly, I should have just done it in one because I knew it wouldn't take you more than one to guess. But probably end up making more than one on Dresden. I have the idea. There, I can do the classic just sitting pose, so he looks like a triangle. And then the other one with his ears down when he's like looking over that rim of something and he's just kind of like big saucer eyes. I think that would be funny. And it works in a small, small format is also why I thought of that. Because I think that would work for, you know, emotes, which are so small. So something um, I do sometimes for people who aren't as familiar working with brushes, there are moments where I'm putting down paint and my brush is too wide um, for the mark I want to make. So, but I still want that kind of flat edge. So what you can do is start it like on a corner and put it down, and you can kind of twist the brush, and you kind of have to put a little more pressure on it than normal because you want the edge to still touch the surface, but you kind of twist as you put it down, and you can, shrink the width of the brush by doing that a little bit. Like I said, it's a little tricky and it's not always the right move. Sometimes it's better to just use like the side of the brush or something. But, just thought I'd mention it for people who might not be familiar with it. I'm going to a local gallery tomorrow afternoon. Oh, it's awesome, Des. I hope you have a lot of fun. Are you gonna, do you know the gallery? Do you know the gallery owner or anything like that? Or do you have connections with them? I gotta put the glasses on for some of these details. The owner bid on 3 of my portraits last year. I'm not sure if she got one of them or not, but I think the locals bug her a lot. I'm not going to even say anything to her about it. She doesn't show local work. Okay. We'll see if she wants to show someone from Texas there. And I'm only semi kidding. And the reason I say that is because sometimes, I don't know about you, but sometimes I find it easier to I sometimes honestly find it easier to kind of sell or, be a salesperson for friends. Like I can talk up my friends like crazy. Sometimes, they'll be like, "Oh, I don't know this or that," and I can just sell people on them because am what's the word I'm looking for? Like I'm in their corner, right? Like I think they're great, and so I want other people to experience their stuff. So I have no problem talking up my friends and promoting other people. Promoting myself is a lot harder for me personally. Um, but sometimes when you promote others, it ends up being self-promotion as well, unintentionally. So maybe by talking and trying to like see if someone else is, up for it, then maybe you can get you in there because that's what I'm trying to do. She's originally from Boston. I'll send you a link to the gallery. Sure, that'd be nice. Just don't tell her what I think about that accent, and you know, otherwise she'll never work with me. Actually, she does have a local showing right now. I think he works with Driftwood. Hey, see? She should totally show your work. You know, maybe not this year, but maybe it would be something that you could work with her on the charity too, right? Like what if she were to host the actual auction or something? I don't know that she has that experience, but maybe. Just a thought. I know that part of the idea is to hold the auction in the place where the work gets done, and I think that's actually a great idea. However, if you want to get, you know, if she has a large clientele and everything, it might be worth it. But honestly, she should just give you a solo show is what I really think should happen. I know that's not likely to happen right away, but I think that is what should happen. For anyone who doesn't know, Des is an oil painter, and um, she's working on oil paintings for a charity, which is fantastic. But I've seen her work, and not only is she really good, she also has a lot of fun styles. She's done she has her own style, but then I've seen her do things in 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 homage to other painters, and it's a lot of fun. So just saying. She was the one running that window art display for downtown. Oh, see, that's great. So she knows you already. She knows your work. The only huge disadvantage to working with a local gallery, and this might not really apply to you, Des, as much, but the ma I thought that was what still, damn it. The major disadvantage of working with a local gallery is that you often have to sign something that basically says, like a profit share, right? So like if they sell a painting for you, they get a portion of the money, which is common, right? It makes sense. However, a lot of times they also put a mile, a certain mile or kilometer radius, and basically say any sales you make in this area, you have to pay her. So if someone comes to your home studio and buy something, you still have to pay the gallery. The idea being that they don't want you to like undercut the gallery and try and get sales that way. Um, which I understand they don't want you to undercut them. However, it does feel a little shitty if you have someone come to you know, your home studio and decide to buy something and you're like, "Oh, well, I guess I got to call up the gallery and give them a cut of the sales that they didn't get me in any way." Like I said, I do understand not wanting to be undercut. That I'm okay with. But yeah. Damn it, that's dry too. But if you like I said, it might not apply to you that much, does because I don't think you have people come over really to your place. Which is understandable. Not everyone wants to have visitors come to their home studio. I get that. Not at all. Yeah. See? All right, Des. See you when you get back. No, I accidentally touched that color and I don't want it. Ah. All right. Sorta. All right. Let's see. All right. Stop the recording for a minute. I need a minute to stretch. Ah, all right. Mhm. Okay. Let's see. I'll look at something real quick here. Um, ah, okay. No. Jomsy, hey man. Welcome. Thanks for the raid. How you doing? Oh, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. I'm glad you like the painting. Um, uh, I have like 3 unfinished paintings that I'm cycling through trying to get through them. Yeah, you're doing good. Had real fun streaming tonight. What'd you do on stream tonight? For those who don't know, Jomsy is a streamer, a fantastic guy. And I know he does storytime streams, which where he reads stories because he has a lovely voice, and singing streams because once again he has a lovely voice. Um, so yeah, so really, and he's musically talented, which is also impressive. Honestly, a lot of what he does is impressive, and I look at that as things I could never do, which I realize it's practice and work and stuff like that, like most things, but yeah, really impressive to me. We were singing tonight. I had an ungodly amount of energy. Nice. So we just rip through songs. Oh, that's awesome. That's fantastic. Yeah, highly recommend checking out Jomsy's streams. Actually, when I was getting into streaming, Jomsy helped me a lot figuring out how to what microphone to buy and how to, what should I like focus on and how do I, you know, do all that stuff. So yeah. Ramsey says, "Hey, your painting work also feels untouchable to me." Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's I know like I know how it is from the from this side because I know that like anyone who really wants to learn can learn. I'm not going to say anyone want, I'm never going to say anyone who wants to can be the best. That I won't say, but anyone who wants to learn can absolutely learn. But not everyone has the time or the energy or the passion for it. So yeah, I totally get it. Oh, hey, Jomsy, since you're here, before you go, I wanted to show you real quick. We had been talking, so this thing right here, uh, hold on. Here we go. So this is my palette that I built. These parts hang on the tripod, right? And then, you open it up and, you can paint. That's the palette. And then the palette, the wet, the wet panel carrier, which was the hardest thing was making the slots inside so that the wet paintings don't touch each other. And um, and then there was like oh, I probably shouldn't do this with these gloves on. And then there's the frame that I made a couple frames like this. Actually, I'm going to be coming out with a video. I say soon, I don't know exactly when, but on how to make these frames, especially if you don't have you know, all the fancy tools that a lot of people often have to make those frames. So yeah, I'm working on that video. I filmed it. I just need to like edit it and do all that stuff. So yeah. And then I even made let me see if I can show this. This thing too. Nope, wrong way. Yeah, so this panel holder, I finally made one for my for my easel. It's a mini easel that goes on my easel because I was using tape to hold things in place and they one of them finally fell and I got fed up with it. So I was like, okay, I need to fix this. So I built it. So it's an easel that goes on my easel because my easel just is not equipped or is, yeah, it just can't handle small paintings very well. Like the small paintings just wanna, um, what's the word I'm looking for? They, the easel is just too large. It can't really have the small paintings. Easelception, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Easelception. But yeah, so fun stuff. Me and Jomsy were talking offline about well, not offline, online, but off stream about woodworking. Some that I got into it recently, so I wanted to show him. Yeah. Hmm. I just discovered um, something that I wasn't aware of. I found videos online about doing voiceovers and doing, voice recordings. And they say to eat a slice or two of a green apple while you're doing it to cut down on mouth noises. It only lasts like 10 minutes apparently, but yeah, I didn't know that was a thing. Now I have to start buying apples. Jumsy says, love it from form, from function. It's perfect for what you need. Oh yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, and it's very much a function, all about functionality, for sure. But yeah, and okay, this is a little too into it, but uh, I am trying to come up with so this easel or most easels use these kind of knobs for for tightening, and I hate them. I hate the knobs. They they're a stupid system. I don't like it. So I've looked into it and I've found a possible alternative. So I'm going to try and make a prototype for an improved knob system that doesn't require the tightening the way that these ones do. Unfortunately, I don't think it's something I could patent because it's, something that already exists, but I still think it's an improvement. Des says get a patent. I don't think I can patent it because I think it already exists. Like I'm I'm gonna, it's basically taking a different kind of knob that already exists and using it for an easel. I don't think I can patent that. I think that, by definition already exists. Otherwise, I totally would. I actually, the father of a friend of mine actually developed he was a jeweler and he developed an earring, um, like an earring post that didn't require a back and it would stay in place. And he actually filed and got a patent for it, but he could never make it take off, unfortunately. Jomsy says, so the use of off-the-shelf parts in a new design is totally patentable? Well then, maybe it is patentable. Maybe I should, I'll keep my mouth shut then. Can't let too much out until I built it, you know. Thanks for the heads up, Jomsy. Like, imagine being like, hey, sorry, can't patent that you used screws. It's a good point. That is a good point. Damn it, how'd you know screws were going to be involved? And wood. Damn it. I've given away all my secrets. Okay, her chin and face are difficult. Okay, I see why. Wow. Oh, I appreciate that, Jomsy. I'll look into that. That might actually be something cool. Oh yeah, Jomsy, if you haven't been here in a while, yeah, got the glasses now. Unfortunately, I'll be honest, it's not so much that I hate how I look in them. It's more just that I hate them because they're annoying. It's the taking off and putting on and all that is so annoying. But otherwise, I don't mind them. It's just that more than anything. I'll be honest, it's a miracle I didn't have glasses my whole life. Both of my parents have had glasses, I think, essentially their whole lives. So I don't know how I made it this long without them. So, what was your favorite song that you were singing, that you sung today, Jomsy? Anything in particular? Oh man, that's tough. Yeah, I asked the hard questions here. Jomsy says, on the merit of the song itself, probably Toast My Ghost from Numb the Geek, who is actually another Twitch singer. Oh, awesome. Okay. I'm not familiar with them, but that probably explains why. Although I'm not always caught up on things, so there is that. By the way, if you want to drop links or anything, you're more than welcome to. Whatever you want to, uh, wherever you want people to go to for you or whatever, you're more than welcome to drop links. As far as the actual active performance, I did a folky acoustic version of Pumped Up Kicks. Nice. By Foster's the people. I built it with the loop pedal. Nice. And went full rock and roll frontman on it while building up the harmonies. It was uh it was fun to just be unabashedly silly while tuning in while turning in a performance. Nice. That sounds like fun. It sounds like a lot of fun. Also, I like the, building up doing the repeat with the pedal and all that. That's not only is that impressive, but it's also very I think it's very cool and entertaining because it's like, oh, one person can actually do, more this way, with these tools kind of thing. I like that. I don't know if you have any interest in this, and I don't know how popular this is, but I know I watch these like React videos. Oh, I watch a lot of stuff just because it's, fun. But one of the things is I do watch different React videos where people react to music or songs and stuff like that. And some of them it's just for the fun of it, like to see them, be all weird or whatever. If it's a weird song or something that's like unexpected. But there are also people who do these reacts that like really go into different like elements of making music and explain certain things. And for someone like me who isn't knowledgeable about that, I do find it interesting, to learn. Like, I'm not saying that I'm learning about music in a way that will help me make music, but it does personally help me appreciate it more because it explains certain things and deepens my understanding and knowledge of it in general. I didn't know if you ever thought about doing anything like that, if that was of any interest to you or not, but it's just something I just thought about since you do sing and everything. Oh yeah, I love the React content from channels like Rick Beto and the Charismatic Voice in particular. I watch a lot of reactions. Yeah. Oh, Des says I watch a lot of reactions. Yeah, the charismatic voice is really good. There was, oh, I can't remember. I don't remember if it's Rick Beto or not, but there's someone who does, he's like a jazz musician, but he does movies and he reacts to music from movies and video games and everything. And it was really interesting because he broke down soundtracks from anime and also he broke down the Doom um uh the Doom music as well, and it was really interesting to hear his take on it because he started breaking it down into the different rhythms and everything and explained like why how the rhythm is set and why it works and why it has this like continuation and all this other stuff, which I thought was really interesting. He wasn't just like, oh, that's sick the whole time. Which don't get me wrong, I appreciate, but yeah. But yeah, the charismatic voice, I've discovered quite a few cool bands and musicians that I wasn't familiar with because I watched her channel. 12 Tone is another channel I love for the theory stuff. Nice. Des says, I'm a huge Ren fan and she covers his stuff. Oh yeah. Yeah, a lot of people have, but yeah, she has covered his stuff and um yeah, that's it's good stuff. She's also a total geek and like loves like Ren fairs and stuff like that too. Um, so she kind of comes off if if you hear oh she's an opera singer, she might come off as like very I don't know, not, like professional or I don't know what exactly, but not like a total nerd who loves like Ren fairs and cosplay and all this other stuff. I did mess up on her shoulder if you're wondering why she's got this little like Batman thing out there. That's why. Although you might not be able to see it, it might be overexposed a little. The camera's struggling with the dynamic range here a little bit. Jomsy says every opera singer I've met has been an utter and complete dweeb off the stage, and that's the best. Nice. It's funny because that's something that they share with a lot of metal people. A lot of people in metal are the same way. Not all, maybe less, but a lot. I had a theory for that, which I still stand by to this day, which is that in order to get good at something like that, like in order to become a good musician of any kind, right? You need to spend a lot of time practicing, often a lot of time by yourself practicing. Um, and so it attracts those types of people that are very similar to people who spend a lot of time by themselves reading, who spend a lot of times by themselves drawing and painting and and writing. And so it's all kind of the same people, just different, different things, but a lot of cross what's it called? You know, um uh what's the word I'm looking for? Like mutual type of personalities that probably are attracted to those same things. Jumsy says, I somewhat agree with that. All the cool musicians are the geeky ones. Yeah, yeah, I could see that. They're probably the best ones too, right? Because it's like just one of those things that goes hand in hand. But there's also the ones driven by ego exclusively. That is true, yeah. In it for the power and admiration. Uh, they bring uh boardroom energy to it. Yeah, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I'm sure that happens, especially since it's an area that gets a lot more fame, you know. I mean, there is some of that in art too, in like the very high end, you know, what's it called? In the very high end art, there's a bit of that too with some people. You know, those people who are artists in name who don't make their own stuff and they basically hire people to make their art for them and then they just like, I don't know, brush up against it and claim it's theirs. Jomsy says, ah, yes, the echelon of any industry where the primary purpose is money laundering. Yup, exactly. Yeah, I saw a thing recently on like Instagram or whatever where I'm trying to remember what's his name. Can't remember which artist it was. He was making these like one of a kind prints um or one it was like one of a kind prints or one of a kind paintings or I can't remember. Uh, and you'll understand in a minute why I could get confused by them. But basically, they were all laid out on a table, and I'm talking like hundreds of them, right? Like this is like a factory type of thing, and he's just going by with a dolly and that has like different paints on it, and he'll just dip a brush into one of the thing of paints and splatter some paint on the like finished piece to say that he did it and then it's his his original, even though basically he had a team of people make it and or they printed it, I'm not sure, and that's how he made it. So yeah, absolutely money laundering. Trying to remember if it was the guy who made like I'm trying to remember which artist it was. It's one of the big name ones that everyone knows. I just can't remember right now. I also there's also that other guy, what's his name? The guy who did this, I don't even want to call it a sculpture, but a shark, the dissected shark. Um, fuck that guy. I always say that. Fuck that guy. And I don't even care about the money laundering for that. It's just like, why the fuck you gotta kill a shark just to make like an art piece out of him or out of it, right? Like, fuck that. Jomsi says man, they really paid him for the Delulu, huh? The print guy? Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, absolutely insane. I don't. It's just for the name, it really is. And like I have, my opinion on like a lot of modern art has changed over the years. it's not, a lot of it's not for me, but that's okay, right? Like, fine, it's not my thing, it's not for me, I don't get it. It doesn't appeal to me. That's okay. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna shit on it uh just because it's not for me. It's got a place, whatever. But no, some of that where like you've got just, an army of people doing all the work for you, or you just go and kill an animal and then that's, just so that you can show it off in pieces and mess it up, by the way, and have to redo it a second time because the first one started to go rancid because they didn't properly whatever, they didn't seal it properly or they didn't preserve it properly. So he had to make a second one. And like sharks are in, I think it's great whites, they're endangered, like why? This doesn't achieve anything. You want to make that sculpture. How about you actually make a sculpture that looks like that instead of using an actual shark? Then I'd be impressed. That would be cool. I did the one, my favorite modern art piece, I think, is the one from the guy uh, who he named the piece "Take the Money and Run." Unfortunately, he wasn't able to actually keep the money. That was probably my favorite modern art piece. Jomsy says, yeah, truly, why? Also, like, it'd be so goddamn cool to make all that stuff from scratch. Yeah, absolutely. If they had modeled, like, and, designed and sculpted a shark, that'd be awesome, right? That would be awesome. But no, they just killed one and then just suspended it in, I don't know what that stuff is called. Like I don't know if it's epoxy or whatever, That's it. That's all they did. Even if, and here's the thing, even if the process of doing that was actually complicated, I don't care. It's still not worth it. Who cares? Like there's just because something is complicated or difficult, even if it was, doesn't mean it has merit all the time, Yeah. As something as a special effects artist myself, like doing all the anatomical research and stuff, then sculpting it is super rewarding. Yeah, absolutely. That would be really cool. That would be a neat sculpture. I would like that. That's the type of thing that sure, that'd be awesome. Um, what was it? Oh my God, my brain just it was about. I was going to say I was going to say something, and then my brain just totally blanked on it. It was about um oh my God. It was about it wasn't about the shark sculpture exactly, but it was surrounding that, and I can't remember what it was. Oh darn it. Ah, my brain. Hold on. Okay, hold on a second. Let me see. Can I use the replay system to remind me what I was saying? Let's see real quick. One second. Oh, take the money and run. That's it. That's it. Yes. I was able to use the replay to remind me. Okay, so take the money and run. For those who aren't familiar with it, this was hilarious. I think he's a Dutch I think he's a Dutch artist. I'm not sure. Or it was a Dutch museum. I could be wrong. Um, anyways, it's this artist, and he at one point in his career made a art piece that was he took money. I forget how much money it was. It was like thousands of the equivalent of like tens of thousands of dollars or something like that. And he made he put them in a frame, basically, like, glued them to a canvas or something. I don't know the exact details. Basically, glued them to a canvas or something like that and framed them. And that was the art piece, right? Like, and so there was a museum that commissioned him to recreate the same type of art piece. And so he named it Take the Money and Run and returned two blank canvases that had frames around them. That was and so he tried to just keep the money. And he even argued it in court because the museum put the canvases up and it made the news and people came to see them and came to the museum because it made the news. So it was publicity. Um, but ultimately, I think he lost the case and he had to return the money for the art pieces, which sucks because it was such a good idea. So smart. Ah, I wish he'd been able to keep the money. I mean, the museum got publicity. What else? What else do they want? Come on. That's bullshit. But yeah, that is my favorite art piece. My favorite abstract conceptual art piece, I think. Okay, you gotta go be horizontal. Hey, no problem, Jomsy. Thanks so much for stopping by. I appreciate it. I will let me get uh your what's it called? Your Twitch channel, and I'll post it in the YouTube chat because people sometimes watch the VODs and they can see the chat in the VODs, so they can know who we're talking about and can go follow you if they want to. Thanks for a great place to land and an excellent art discussion. Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks so much for rating me and stopping by. I appreciate it. Have a good night. This is just kind of me talking and thinking out loud, but I need to figure out how to, uh, you know, record or download YouTube videos, um, other people's YouTube videos. I'm thinking about making a response react video to someone, and I want to be able to play segments of their video if I do. And I don't know how to do that. They keep making it harder and harder. Oh, let's see. Someone is okay. Someone's at the door, but it's just Michelle getting back home. Yeah, there's a hair. Black hair is surprisingly difficult to paint sometimes. It's like white flowers or porcelain, stuff like that can be real difficult. Uh, Black hair too. Like very black hair, that Like, all right, let's see. A little bit of work on the flowers before I call it a night. They say, sorry, I'm quiet. It's getting late and I worked out 3 days in a row. I haven't had my naps either, so I'm a bit spacey. No worries. There's not a problem at all. I honestly was intending to, I was hoping to stream even earlier than I did today, but um, you know, things got in the way. We're having some problems with one of our what's it called? Um, one of our bathrooms, the sink keeps overflowing and not draining. So I tried to snake it today, and that did not work. So I'm gonna have to try again. Go even further with it, you know. But yeah, I just had to deal with that. It's, just stuff. I'm trying to avoid having to call a plumber, you know. That's the I do feel like um there's a lot of things that they like real world practical stuff that they don't teach in school. And I don't know, I just feel like, learning Like, don't get me wrong, I actually think that learning history and stuff is important, but I don't know, the way I feel like it's taught in schools sometimes, it's like too much into the details. I feel like if you taught the broader sense of things and then taught more real world stuff, it'd be way better than, you know, learning all the details of certain things and then not getting into any real world, functional skills. Maybe that's just me, but I don't know. Seems seems like it to me. And of course, I think they should bring art back to schools or make it more important in schools, but hey, I'm biased. But also, Des, good on you for working out. That's great. It's really hard to do, I know. I keep meaning to get back into working out, and you know, I don't, but I keep meaning to. Des says I need to practice life stuff for sure, balancing budgets, basic laws for behavioral, etc. Yeah, I agree. I also think, like I said, I do think art is super important, but I think art's super important, and not I don't just mean painting, I just mean like artistic stuff in general. I think it's super important because I feel like it's such a basic part of humanity to make things. And I think that also, inventing stuff, building things, wood shop, stuff like that. Like I think all of those are so important because it's so like built into our nature. Um, and I think it also helps people develop to be well-rounded people, so it which helps society as a whole, Uh, so I do think that it's just important, altogether important. Um, and I think it's a shame that it's not, as as important to a lot of people. That says, yeah, I rejoined my YMCA and go to the water acrobatics. I met a trainer to go over some exercises and strengthen my legs and hips since I've been having a lot of trouble with them. That's fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic. I saw this interesting thing recently. There's this guy I follow on online. Uh, he's all about, I think he's calls himself Flexi, or his tagline is like keep it flexy. He's all about flexibility and all that's, and stretching. And he actually cited a study in one of his recent videos that talks about how stretching, uh, you know, like regularly and doing that, not only, of course, it helps with your flexibility overall and can help with strength and so on. But there was a study that specifically measured your pain tolerance, or the people's pain tolerance in that study. Um, and what they found was that the people who stretched um, had a higher threshold of pain. Um, and it was they found a really clever objective way of testing it, not just like, oh, I think I feel better. Um, So the idea being that like for people who have chronic pain, if they stretch regularly, it can literally reduce the pain that you're suffering through. Obviously, this isn't going to apply to everybody. It's not a universal fix. Like I recognize all those things, and as someone who also has like some degree of chronic pain and doesn't always do the exercises that I should do, I get it. Trust me. But it was interesting to see it. Like, okay, yes, but here's a study that literally proves it. I like that. This says I've been feeling a lot less pain the last few days after walking there, working out and walking back. I thought I'd be sore, but I've had much more energy. Oh, that's fantastic. I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah, it's not easy. I totally get that, but like in general, I'm not talking just about you, but yeah. But that's fantastic, Des. I'm so happy to hear that. Good for you and good on you. I know how hard it is, so yeah. That says I'm going to have to hire someone to gut and rebuild my studio space in the back porch. I can't do it myself. Not yet, you can't. I'm kidding. But yeah, hopefully one day, or maybe not. I don't know. I don't want to, I don't want to, I don't know, be too optimistic or too, you know, whatever. But who knows? Who knows? You don't have the knowledge or tools. That's fair. That is absolutely fair. And I've learned that relying on family members is not the way to go. Months to get a bathroom done, months to get a shed done, a shed built. Yeah. Family members often have great intentions. Um, but sometimes you know, despite great intentions, it doesn't always, you know, work out. I've probably been that person too who's like, "Hey, I'll do this for you, no problem." And then it's like, they're just like, "Man, come on. You said you'd do it, then do it." And like, "I know, but I got busy." I've probably been that person too. So I understand. It can be tough. Oh, to be fair, it's usually stuff that's like on my own time in my own space, not like at someone else's place. There is that. Well, I better go to sleep. It's 11:30. Hate to leave stream early, but I'm fading. Hey, no worries, Des. I'm getting close to end of stream as well, so no worries. I appreciate you being here. Thanks, as always. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's almost 10 here as well. Or no, 9:30. It's 9:30, yeah. See you on Sunday. Yeah, see you on Sunday. I'll be back on Sunday for stream. Absolutely. Actually, I just passed the 2 hour mark and I'm kind of hungry. I'm thinking I should probably eat dinner before it's too late to eat dinner. So, uh, so yeah. Anyways, have a good night, Des. Have a good night, everybody else. I think I'll call it a night. We have Misu here to say good night, I think. We'll see if she can, if I can catch her. Oh, it's a Misu. Shh. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Misu says good night as well. I'll be back on Sunday. Um, and yeah. Oh, don't be so angry, little girl. I'm going to get off stream and now I can pet you more. All right. Bye, everybody.